Well, welcome everyone. We are very pleased to bring you this webcast today, From Marketing Expert to Executive, Ready to Make the Leap? Sponsored by Flex Marketing Pro and HRMI. Presented today by Angelina Jaspers. So unlike the hundreds of HR-focused webcasts that we conduct each year for our audience of over 1.2 million HR professionals, this presentation is part of a series of webcasts that are for CEOs and sales and marketing professionals who are responsible for marketing products and building a business in the human capital space. HRMI is committed to inspiring and educating HR marketers so that they can be their best, drive results, and achieve business success. If you have questions during today's webcast, please click on the Q&A tab in your webinar controls and type them in there. Once the presentation has begun, I will be posting a link to the slides as well as the exit survey in the chat area. So at the end of the webcast, a new tab will open in your browser with the survey. Please be sure to complete it as soon as the webcast has ended. So this will help us deliver content to you in the future that's relevant to your challenges. So now it is my absolute pleasure to turn it over to today's presenter, Angelina Jaspers.
Well, great. Thank you, Rhonda, for the introduction and for the background on HRMI. I'm delighted to be here. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Are you ready to make the leap? Just because you're smart, committed to your organization, and you've probably been told that you're on the fast track to success, your path to an executive role is by no means guaranteed. And to make matters worse, the upward climb today is anything but linear and hierarchical. In fact, career paths today are more like a bowl of spaghetti, all tangled up, messy, and not very well communicated. And in most cases, you're on your own. There is no shortage of advice on moving up the corporate ladder. I've heard it all, and I'm sure you have as well. Some will tell you that pedigree matters, getting a degree from a named school. Others say you have to get international experience and exposure. Some will tell you to perfect your problem solving and decision-making skills. Others say that it comes down to hard work and luck. Any of that sound familiar? One thing is certain. What got you here won't get you there. I'm willing to bet that each of you on the webcast today is recognized as a top-notch leader of your department. You are the consummate subject matter expert, the go-to person that everyone values so much. When it comes to the nuts and bolts of your function, there's no one better. I'm also willing to bet that you're frustrated by your inability to either break into the management ranks or to add that coveted chief title to your business card or office nameplate. It really doesn't matter what line of business you're in or function you lead, making the leap from expert to executive is more about readiness than merit. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you think performance alone will get you recognized and promoted, it won't. You see, many of us subscribe to Woody Allen's adage, 80% of success is just showing up. We believe showing up day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year is a guaranteed path to being recognized and being promoted. It makes sense. It's a matter of putting in the time, we tell ourselves. It's waiting for the right opportunity to open up. And sure, showing up indeed is important, but it is not enough. Promotions based on merit or seniority are a thing of the past. But I'm also not jaded enough to believe that it's all about favoritism, politics, or who you know. So if moving up to the next rung in your career is not based on merit, seniority, favoritism, or politics, what is it based on? I believe it comes down to readiness. It's having the mindset and skill set to move up in your career. It's what you do with the other 20% that will make all the difference. Let me explain. So while 20% of success may be just showing up, the other 20% is moving up and doing so in a very thoughtful, conscious, and deliberate way. It's called, and you've heard this before, the 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle. Actually, interesting fact, the principal's name for a gentleman named Vilfredo Pareto, and he was an Italian economist. And legend has it that one day Vilfredo noticed that 20% of the pea plants in his garden generated 80% of the healthy pea pods. This observation caused him to think about uneven distribution. He thought about wealth and discovered that 80% of the wealth and land in Italy belonged to only 20% of the population. So he investigated different industries and found that 80% of production typically came from only 20% of the companies. It's the law of uneven distribution, or as some wags like to say, life isn't fair. So how can you put the Pareto principle to work to benefit your career mobility? If 80% of your results will come from just 20% of your actions, the trick is finding and focusing on the 20%. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, the other 20%. Strategies and steps to help you move up to make the leap from expert to executive, regardless of the industry you're in. But before we get to the meat of the program, I'd like to understand where each of you on this live webcast is currently in your career. So to do that, I'd like to conduct a quick audience polling question. This will help me tailor the rest of the material to your experience level. And here is the audience polling question. Which best describes your current career stage? A, I'm new in my career, let's say under 2 years. B, I'm an early career professional in your career for 2 to 10 years. C, I'm a mid-career professional, 10 to 25 years of experience. Or D, I'm a late career professional, 25 plus years of experience. So Rhonda, if you could launch the poll for me and then see where the audience is, that would be of great help.
Absolutely, folks. So the poll is there now. We'll give it about 10 more seconds, and then I will let Angelina know the results.
Awesome.
Okay, so we ended there. And Angelina, the majority are over 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, very good. So you're in your seasoned professionals, like I can identify with, or perhaps you're in your encore careers, which is awesome. So this is great. I will tailor my discussion to your seniority. So awesome, thank you. So in this session, let's go over what we're covering. You'll learn proven strategies to help position yourself for a broader executive role. They include the 3 languages of business, adopting the 5 traits of a business first leader, and third, the 7 superpowers to fast track your career from marketing expert to executive. So let's get started. We're going to cover the 3 languages first you need to speak at work. And no, they're not English, Spanish, and Mandarin. They are functional language, emotive language, and business language. You didn't know that there were that many languages spoken in the workplace, did you? The truth is, most of us divide communications into 2 giant buckets, home and work, or personal and professional. At home, whether talking with your significant other, your kids, your pets, your neighbors, you use one style of communication, which is typically relaxed and I would say informal. At work, our language tends to be a bit more buttoned up, whether answering the phone, in our emails, meetings, or interactions with our colleagues and customers. The trap is that many of us fall into is believing that all professional communications is the same. One style, one speed, one size fits all. And of course, it's not. Great communicators adapt the message to their audience. So let's start at the bottom with functional language. This is the language specific to a particular function, be it legal, finance, operations, IT, and marketing. It's our tribal language, so to speak. It's using words, abbreviations, jargons, and even acronyms that only those of us within a certain profession certain industry or workplace can relate to and understand. It's very helpful. It serves as a handy shortcut when we're dealing with peers, colleagues, and other members of the community, but it doesn't work so great with the C-suite. Emotive language is the deliberate choice of words to elicit emotion, usually to influence, encourage, or persuade someone. Speakers, writers, companies, and yes, we marketers do this all the time by including words, images, and stories designed to get someone to take action. Emotive language tends to be more subjective than objective, as it substitutes facts and evidence with words that stir up emotion. Emotive language is highly effective when communicating with customers, partners, and all employees of your company, but it's not so effective with the C-suite. Which brings us to business language. The story of any company, no matter the size, the industry, or the country of origin, is told through its financial records and reports. Financial data is understood by any individual in the business world, from investors to employees, and it is the one language that the C-suite all agrees on. Now, in the early stages of our careers, you might be able to get away without being able to read financial statements. But if you are serious about making the leap from marketing expert to business executive, it's crucial that we are able to provide a financial justification for what you're doing. And equally important, to be able to use existing financial data as the basis for your marketing metrics. So let's get into some examples of the three languages of business. Do any of these terms sound familiar? Top of funnel, SEO retargeting, gated content, ABM. Of course they do. These are the terms that are all part of the secret language marketing professionals speak. I call it marketing speak. If we were legal professionals, we would speak in a language called legalese. If we were technical professionals, we'd talk tech speak. The second language uses content that is more likely to elicit an emotional response that drives action. This can take the form of video, images, music, or words. Typical form factors include case studies, human interest stories, customer testimonials, behind the scenes, up close and personal, with each providing an opportunity to get close to our target audience. The third language is business language or management speak. Your marketing strategies and metrics should focus on three core business outcomes: revenue, profit, and share price. Marketing leaders who can demonstrate how they are growing top-line sales, gaining maximum return from their marketing investment, and positively affecting their company's stock performance by creating favorable perceptions and reputation will be better regarded by their C-suite colleagues. So here's the bottom line. We need to speak to your audience in their language, not yours. So to bring this home, let me share with you two concrete examples of how to translate marketing speak into management speak. The first has to do with the nebulous world of brand equity, one of my favorites. The second with the wild jungle of social media. Branding, admittedly, is a very broad field. As marketers, we often talk about brand promise, brand attributes, brand strength, brand positioning, brand identity, brand experience, brand loyalty, brand engagement, brand equity. You can see how brand can quickly become a black box metric that only a marketing professional can love and decipher. So that's an example of marketing speak. If you look at brand through a customer lens, customers connect with brands that are emotionally and functionally strong. Ultimately, it is the customer who's the most crucial component in defining brand equity, as it is his or her choices that determine the success or failure of the company and the brand. For the customer, brand equity quickly translates to their customer experience. Management, the C-suite, the third column, wants to know, what is the financial outcome of a strong brand? Financial metrics measure a brand's monetary value through the various parameters of market share, price premium a brand commands, the revenue generation capabilities of a brand, transactional value, lifetime value of a brand, and the rate at which brands sustain growth. These measures help a company estimate an accurate financial value of brand equity. Again, my question to you is, what language do you speak? Is it marketing speak, customer speak, or management speak? Social media is another example that illustrates the three languages of business. Do you understand how social media impacts your customers as well as your bottom line? We know we've got to be in social media, but we're really not sure it has any material impact on our business. And your CEO is wondering the exact same thing. Social media can help you build stronger relationships with customers by being accessible 24/7, by being engaged, by being trusted, and by being transparent. As such, social media is best used as a customer service and brand building platform. But what your C-suite likely cares about is your ability, marketing's ability, to turn those customers into fans, raving fans. They also care about overall operational cost savings, to which we can reply, one of the biggest benefits of social media is that it gives you real-time access to respond to customer questions and challenges. And for some organizations, social media has completely replaced their expensive inbound customer service call center. Now, that is the conversation you should be having with your leadership team, not about the number of followers, likes, comments, and shares. As subject matter experts, it's very easy for us to fall into the trap of believing that the more data, the more facts we present, the more credible you will be perceived. And by throwing in some marketing speak, we'll appear very knowledgeable. But as you've seen, that's not always the most effective form of communication, especially if you're trying to make the leap from marketing expert to business executive. A more effective communication structures that I like to use is called the what, so what, and now what model. This structure starts with the what, established in the context. This section represents the nuts and bolts of what was done or what you're planning to do, including the facts. It shouldn't be a brain dump on all the details you know, but rather just enough information to provide your audience with the necessary background. The so what section, here's your opportunity to offer opinions and perspectives and to further develop any ideas that are likely to resonate with the audience and what they believe. It is your opportunity to present outcomes that will challenge audience beliefs in a constructive way. At all times, you should ask the question, why does this matter to my audience? The now what section is where you present the next steps and actions required to move forward. Now what turns your conclusion into forward-going actions. These are your recommendations based on the facts for what should be done. That's how to have a CEO level conversation. Remember, facts never speak for themselves. You speak for the facts. We're now ready to move to the second agenda topic of this webcast, which I call business first leadership. When faced with any business decision, three factors naturally come into play. The impact of that decision on your company, on your team, and on your career. Putting your company or customer first, before your team and before yourself, is by far the best way I've found to make the leap from marketing expert to marketing executive. Being a business first leader doesn't mean you have to be all business and all boring. It doesn't mean you have to choose family or career over family. Doesn't mean you have to work 24/7. Doesn't mean you have to be accessible around the clock. It does mean, however, putting the needs of your company or customer before the needs of your team and before yourself. It may feel counterintuitive, but it works. Now, a little background here is in order. Over a 30-year corporate career, I've experienced my share of revolving door CEOs, business course corrections, and reinventions. Yes, lots and lots of reinventions. Across all my VP leadership roles, be it brand, marketing, sustainability, corporate communications, None escaped disruption. And I got really good at riding the reinvention roller coaster. You know the roller coaster I'm talking about. It's full of ups and downs, unexpected twists and turns, and blood-curdling screams. It can be exhilarating, but it can also be exhausting. It was only after being tapped to lead several company-wide marketing transformations that I became a student and teacher of business and career agility. Now, these transformations were pretty large scale. They involved over 5,000 marketing professionals, over $2 billion of marketing spend, and over 4,000 suppliers. I observed that the career winners in these upheavals all shared a common trait: a business-first mindset. The leaders who placed their companies and their customers first, before their teams and before themselves, emerged from transformation relatively unscathed. The me-first leaders, who put their own careers and team ahead of their companies and customers, suffered the biggest upset to their budgets, their teams, their standing, and even their jobs. From these experiences, I learned that a business-first mindset is far and away the most important trait of a dynamic marketing leader. So let's look, to make this real, at a business-first mindset in action. Let's use a hypothetical. Let's say your company is experiencing a challenging quarter caused by the arrival of perhaps an upstart competitor who's got an aggressive pricing strategy clearly aimed at stealing market share, your market share. So the CEO brings together all the business groups and functions and asks them to reduce any non-essential spending and hiring for the next few quarters to align with the declining sales forecast. Sound familiar? As a marketing leader, you have three choices. The first is my career, thinking about your career first. And here's how that thought process might go. I could cut some marketing programs that I know aren't delivering up to par, but heck, let someone else step up to the challenge. Marketing is already way under budgeted. If I give up budget dollars now, I'll never get them back. I'll respond that all planned marketing is essential and already committed through the remainder of the calendar year. In fact, all planned marketing programs are designed to thwart this aggressive competitor from stealing away our customers. Yeah, that sounds good. Second, my team. Here's what you might be thinking. I have a few open roles on the team that I could cancel. I could have an agency or a few contractors pick up the workload, but I don't want to lose any headcount. I'll report that all planned new hires are essential and already in the works with offers extended. Yeah, that sounds good. I'd better fill those open job recs now before there's an official hiring freeze. And the business first leader thinks about, my company is in a bind, and as a business leader, I am accountable. I'll present my CEO with three budget reducing alternatives, along with a trade-off analysis for each in terms of sales potential. I will additionally present some incremental customer retention programs to safeguard our current install base from this new competitive advance. You see, marketers can get very clever when faced with an imminent budget and staff reduction. I've seen marketers reclassify their employees out of marketing job families and into sales or sales operations to hide their headcount. I've witnessed managers lock in agency retainers to preserve their workforce levels. I've experienced marketing leaders commit to multi-year sponsorships to protect their budgets and gain favor with the sponsoring organization. I've even seen managers terminate employees on a Friday only to have them reappear Monday morning doing their exact same job as a contractor. I'm not making this stuff up. The games people play, they can get very creative. But what happens when we make business decisions based on the best interests of our team or our own career? We end up making decisions that maintain the status quo and that preserve our budget, our headcount, our favorite programs, and our jobs. That may work in the short term, but over time, it definitely weakens our company's financial health. During my many marketing transformations, a business-first mindset was far and away the key differentiator between the career winners and the career losers. And I also believe it's the key differentiator between an expert and executive. There were also a couple other characteristics I observed. And so we're going to take a look at some 5 key characteristics of a business first leader now. I observed that business first leaders are nimble. They're dexterous in movement and in thought. As such, they can absorb and bounce back from unplanned change without slowing down. Winning marketing leaders keep things crisp and current. They build an organization that can pivot quickly with any business fluctuation. Keeping their operations and teams lean is the second trait of a business first leader. These enlightened leaders know that bloated organizations can quickly become sluggish, zap agility, and become an easy target during belt-tightening times. As a result, they keep their teams lean and use agency partners to absorb workforce fluctuations. How lean, you might ask? Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, has a suggestion for us. He coined it the 2-pizza rule, hence the visual on this slide. As the story is told, in the early days of Amazon, Jeff Bezos instituted a rule. Every internal team should be small enough that it can be fed with 2 pizzas. The goal wasn't to cut down on the catering bill, I have to believe. It was the belief that smaller teams spent less time managing timetables and keeping people up to date and spent more time doing what needs to be done. The third characteristic that distinguishes a leader from a manager is a focus on the effectiveness of their marketing strategy rather than purely on the efficiency of various marketing tactics. A business first leader places outcomes ahead of outputs. They focus not only on turning the crank, but also on moving the needle. Famed author and management consultant Peter Drucker said it best. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. It's a great mantra to live by. Accountability is the fourth trait of a business first leader. There's more to accountability than simply measuring and reporting on the results of your projects, though. The accountable leader looks at the impact their total investment has on driving value, profit, and financial return on investment. Business first leaders don't dodge bullets. They don't go under the radar to fend off change. Rather, they buck up and they hold themselves accountable. They view themselves and their teams as an investment center for their companies. They take personal responsibility for every marketing dollar and asset with which they are entrusted. Marketing leaders who can demonstrate their impact on the top and bottom line will be very well positioned to make the business case for ongoing investment. What smart CFO wouldn't choose to reallocate budget to those initiatives driving the highest and most predictable shareholder value across the company? It's pretty clear. And a commitment to continuously grow and learn is the final trait of a business first leader. And learning agility is increasingly becoming valued as an essential leadership skill. The management company Korn Ferry has conducted more than 2.5 million leadership assessments over the past 4 decades. They found that being learning agile is a key predictor of success and a critical attribute of effective breakthrough leadership, above intelligence, above education level, or even above leadership competencies. They also found that only 15% of executives possessed this trait. You see, learning is no longer something we just do in schools. Learning agility is something today's successful business leaders embrace. The goal of every company should be to have agile leaders who can innovate and drive change at every level. It takes more than education experience, though. It takes a commitment to lifelong learning. Taken together, these 5 traits and a business-first mindset form the foundation of what I call the Marketing Flexology Management Framework, which you can learn more about on my website, in my workshops, and in my book. Which brings us to the third and final agenda topic of this webcast, The 7 superpowers to fast track your career from marketing expert to marketing executives. You know, superpowers can really come in handy for a marketer. As for myself, I'd like to be able to leap tall piles of data in a single bound. I'd also like to be able to make silos disappear. Which superpower would you like more of? I think we're going to do a quick polling question to find out. And the polling question is this: which superpower would you like to have? A, mind control. B, invisibility. C, superhuman speed. D, superhuman endurance. Or E, time manipulation. Rhonda, if you can launch the poll, and we'll find out which superpower is most valued.
Absolutely, folks. So again, there is the poll here, and just take a moment here and decide which of these superpowers that you would like to have, and then I'll let Angelina know. Okay, I'll just give it a few more seconds here. All right, Angelina. So it looks like mind control and invisibility are the two top.
So you want to be, this is really a lot about you guys on this webcast, mind control and invisibility. Yeah, those would really come in handy. I have to agree with you. That was a little bit lighthearted, of course. The point is, we all have superpowers. Your unique talent is likely what makes you the go-to person in your department. Maybe you're an Excel wizard, maybe you're known as the grammar cop, maybe you're gifted at writing headline copy, you're talented behind a video camera, or maybe you've got the knack for getting things approved through legal. That's one of my things I always look for. One thing for sure, superpowers don't come by accident. They come from knowledge, intention, and hard work. So in this last section, we're going to look at 7 superpowers that can help you make the leap from marketing expert to executive. And the point here is you don't need to adopt all of them to be successful. Even developing 1 or 2 of these traits will set you on an upward career trajectory and will help you break into the management ranks. So the first marketing superpower is the power of association. Surrounding yourself with people whose traits you admire and from whom you can learn is what I call the power of association. Consciously and subconsciously, their actions and behaviors will influence your everyday choices. A good friend of mine, in fact, set a goal for herself to add 1 new friendship every year, and she's been doing it for the past 20 years. And as you know, maintaining a friendship, a true friendship, requires nurturing as well as a big investment of time. It's not that she's abandoned her childhood friendships or her high school and college buddies, but she's made a conscious decision to form new associations with people she admires and from whom she can learn at each stage of her career. Remember what I said at the beginning of this webcast: what got you here won't get you there. The same is true of associations. The ones that got you here most likely won't get you there. That's why the power of association is so important. And you know what? It's entirely within your control. Jim Rohn, who's an author and a motivational speaker, wisely said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." While you can't always pick your family, your boss, or your CEO, you certainly can choose the employees you hire, the suppliers you work with, the teams you form, the co-workers you have lunch with or who you hang out with after work, the people you mentor or who mentor you, and the professional associations to which you belong, including HR.com, among others. Associating with people who inspire you and can help push you further in your career journey is a valuable superpower to hone, and it's probably one of the hardest. Another superpower that can help propel you from expert to executive is the power of experience. Now, all of you on this webcast, obviously have a lot of experience, as was shown in the polling numbers. But there's plenty of new experiences in store for you and myself. New experiences, especially those that are challenging or even a bit uncomfortable, can stretch you in new ways. This doesn't necessarily mean switching companies or changing careers, though those options are also viable. If you are a career marketing professional, you can seek out a number of new experiences within your chosen profession. For example, if you work behind the scenes in a marketing operations or automation role, perhaps pursuing a customer-centric position can give you some valuable up-close and personal insight into customers. Or another way, if your marketing roles to date have been strictly US based, seeking out experience in different parts of the world can expose you to new buying habits, to new workplace practices and customs. If you've been at corporate headquarters for many years, where long-term planning and governance is valued, switching to a product group can help you develop experimentation and high-speed iteration skills. If you support a business group with quarterly sales in the tens of millions, perhaps rotating to support a struggling startup division within your company can help you stay nimble. Those are just some ways you can expand your experience set within the same company and within your same career. The majority of learning, 70%, is through doing or on-the-job experience. 20% of learning is through mentoring and coaching, and 10% is through more formal classroom courses, seminars, and even webcasts like this one. So bravo for you. You are flexing your power of experience, superpower, by being here today. The 70-20-10 model continues to be widely employed and adapted by organizations throughout the world, especially in the HR community. It's very prevalent. Sometimes we're fortunate enough to work for a company that promotes and invests in continuous learning. Or perhaps we live in a country like Singapore, where the government actually encourages the adoption of new, in-demand skills to fuel their country's continued growth and prosperity. The government of Singapore, in fact, incentivizes its citizens to stay ahead of technology change by giving vouchers worth a few $100s each to every adult over 25. Citizens can use them to pay for online training from more than 500 approved providers. Pretty cool. But more often than not, we're on our own. Yep, we're on our own. According to research by Wharton School professor Peter Capelli, in general, businesses provide less employee training than they previously did. In 1979, the average young worker received 2.5 weeks of training per year. A few decades later, the average had fallen to just 11 hours. As a result, employees must take it upon themselves to increase their knowledge base and upgrade their skills. And a key way is through the power of learning, the power of experience. Which brings us to our third superpower to enhance your career trajectory, and it's developing the habit of raising your hand. This one, in fact, is my personal favorite and has been my go-to over the years. Whether it's tackling a current business obstacle or seizing upon a new growth opportunity, companies are never short of things to do. They do, however, struggle to find the resources to get it all done. That's why managers generally welcome it when employees volunteer to lead an initiative, to take part in a project team, to participate in a brainstorming session, or otherwise offer their time and expertise to assist. There are some times when you raise your hand and other times when you are drafted. Over my own career, I frequently served as a volunteer and a draft pick for special assignments. And most of the time, probably 98% of the time, I willingly accepted. Some assignments were company-wide initiatives. Others were leading a project management office or PMO. Some took me out of marketing, for instance, my time in environmental sustainability, and others put me squarely in the center of transforming marketing. Some were full-time assignments, others were in addition to current duties. And yes, some were downright dogs. But all of them were tremendous opportunities to develop new leadership skills while having an active hand in designing and implementing an initiative that management had deemed important. Each new assignment provided an opportunity to observe, listen, ask, and learn. They gave me new insights, perspectives, and skills, and by doing so, they advanced my personal and professional agility. Self-made billionaire and all-around nice guy, Richard Branson, is adventurous both in his personal life and in business. That's why he's a huge fan of always saying yes. Branson says, even if I have no idea where I'm going or how to get there, I prefer to say yes instead of no. Opportunity favors the bold, he says. Branson also admits that saying yes can be a risk, but it's often well worth the reward. He says, life is a lot more fun when you say yes. It's amazing how that one little word can lead you on an incredible adventure. Now for the fourth superpower, the power of people, or more accurately, the power of the right people. I think we've all heard the saying, people are our greatest asset. You know, it's overused and somewhat trite, and it's a sentiment that finds its way into messages from the chairman and HR communications and annual reports and even taglines. And when research firm Gallup proclaims that 68% of the US workforce is either not engaged or actively disengaged, 68%, it's hard to believe this platitude. In fact, some might say that people are our greatest liability, but that doesn't diminish the need for a workforce that with the right mix of experience and skills. As companies grow, shrink, expand, morph, and mature, the talent they need changes as well. In fact, that's why investors frequently replace founders of startups with experienced talent to achieve the next stage of growth. You see, the team you assembled to launch your idea 10 years ago is likely different than what you need today to lead your company through a transformation, merger, or acquisition. The skill set you needed as a young regional startup is probably very different than what you need today as you establish yourself as a national or even a global player. Not only do you need the right people at the right time to keep pace with your challenging business, but you also need the right kind of marketers to keep up with customers who are changing faster than those very same marketers. This requires you to be objective, honest, and courageous in your hiring and staffing. And yes, that includes the unpleasant task of letting some people go, the wrong people at the wrong time. Avoid the temptation of designing an organization around your existing people, or worse, friends you want to recruit, or putting the wrong people in the wrong roles. The truth of the matter is great talent is scarce. It's a scarce commodity, and most companies don't get it right. At least that's what the recent McKinsey Global Survey found. They found that 82% of Fortune 500 executives don't believe their companies recruit highly talented people. You know, that's a problem. In fact, the Conference Board found similar results in their survey of global CEOs. The number one issue for CEOs ahead of economic growth and ahead of competitive intensity was the failure to attract and retain top talent. So to develop your team building superpower, make sure you are known for attracting, hiring, and retaining top talent for your department and for your organization. There is no better way to get noticed than having your small team of A-plus players run circles around a giant team of B and C players. The power of the right people also applies externally. That's why the power of outsourcing is our fifth marketing superpower. The outsourcing decision usually boils down to the following question. When's the right time to outsource your marketing workload? And how do you choose the right resource? A gentleman by the name of Jason Demers, he's a contributor to Forbes magazine. He identifies 7 warning signs that signal it's time to start outsourcing your marketing. 1, your revenue isn't growing fast enough. 2, your marketing staff is overworked. 3, you always seem to be running behind. 4, your marketing strategies are thrown together. 5, you're limited to a handful of channels. 6, you focus too much on tasks and not enough on strategies. Or 7, you're disappointed with your marketing results. The challenge then becomes making sure you have the right external resource in place to manage a marketing avalanche that might come your way. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says that salaries usually account for nearly 70% of an employee's total compensation package. The remaining 30% goes to taxes and benefits. So realistically, you have an opportunity to save 30% when using outsourced marketing resources. In addition, you pay only for what you need when you need it. Knowing when and how to outsource allows you to stay nimble and lean without adding to your fixed headcount costs. Yes, it will take some added guiding, directing, and training on your part, but can certainly lighten the marketing workload and help avoid painful downsizings. There are a number of good reasons to bolster internal talent with external individuals at agencies. They can extend your reach, provide a specialized skill you don't have in-house, provide an outsourced service at a lower cost, or provide fortification during peak periods when you need more hands on deck. When engaging with outside talent, there are always concerns about quality, turnaround time, privacy, and costs. And yes, typically hiring a bona fide agency is more expensive than having your in-house team develop marketing materials. But tapping into a flexible workforce could save you money if done strategically. That's why I say outsourcing is a very good superpower to develop, especially as you move up through the corporate ladder. Which brings us to the superpower of process. The typical marketing professional attracted to the marketing profession scores high on the creative and artistic index, but usually not as high on the analytics and process scale. To accelerate your career from marketing expert to executive, you will need to develop your process capabilities, the sixth superpower we're covering. Talk to any marketer about process, governance, and compliance, and watch their eyes glaze over. Many professionals find marketing processes punitive, punishing, restrictive, and limiting to creative freedom. Can you imagine, though, if there were no rules of the road? For drivers, that would be complete chaos. And the same holds true for marketing organizations without process. It could be quite disastrous. The larger and more geographically dispersed the marketing organization, the greater the need for processes. And that's not all bad. Processes can help unify your brand, help drive cost savings, ensure consistency in message, maintain high quality standards, increase efficiencies, and more. The trick is to put processes in place that work for you rather than processes that you work for. I'm going to give you a bit of a head start on developing this superpower by sharing with you the only 6 core marketing processes that you need, at least initially. You'll need a lightweight process to help you coordinate marketing activities, a planning process of some sort. You'll need a process to quickly allocate marketing resources, which is a budgeting process, to efficiently orchestrate your outbound activities, typically some sort of integrated calendar process, a process to calculate the effectiveness of your marketing programs, a measurement process, and one to help you remediate any exceptions or disagreements that might occur, an escalation process. And of course, last but not least, you need a process to help you celebrate wins, milestones, and accomplishments. I call this the recognition process. So keep it simple and painless. Start with a handful of key marketing processes, and I guarantee you that these 6 will make your marketing smarter, your team more productive, and your organization more effective. And it will help put you on an upward career trajectory. The final superpower is the ability to drive your initiatives and programs at scale. Scale gives you greater reach and impact across geographies, across business units, and across departments. It allows you to influence change not just within your team, but systemically at scale. This may sound daunting at first, but it's absolutely doable. I'm not talking about going viral here. I'm talking about sparking an internal movement within your company for your ideas, your programs, your initiatives. Granted, not all of us are in a position to influence change company-wide, but if you are, the National Research Council's 5-point agility competency scale is an excellent resource to assess your readiness to drive change and further develop your professional agility competency. The National Resource Council, for those of you Canadians on the line, is the Government of Canada's premier resource organization, as you know. They developed a 5-point scale to evaluate an employee's professional agility competency. It progresses from level 1, changes when required, to level 5, enables an environment that fosters personal agility. At the lower levels of professional agility, employees adapt to new approaches when explained why and how, while maintaining a positive outlook as pressure increases. But at each progressive level, employees are evaluated in how proactively they model their own change behaviors, as well as how they encourage and create an agile work environment. I got permission from the NRC to include their 5-point personal agility scale on my Marketing Agility Resource Center, which you can access at the link at the bottom of the slide, www.marketingflexology.com. You can also access the wealth of information from the National Research Council directly. I think NRC's competency model is excellent for defining, measuring, and evaluating your own personal agility, as well as across a large group of employees. So this brings us to the end of our 7 superpowers section. There are many additional superpowers for you to develop, but these 7 serve as a good starting point. And as I stated earlier, you don't need to adopt all of them to be successful. Even developing 1 or 2 of these traits will set you on an upward career trajectory and help you break into the management ranks. So let's conclude this webcast with a summary and a call to action. There are 3 key points I would like you to take away from this session. 1, the importance of speaking to your audience in their language, not yours. 2, the reasons you need to think like and become a business-first leader. And 3, how to put the power of association, the power of experience, yes, people, outsourcing, process, and scale to work. Once you do, and I know you will, you can step back and watch the career magic unfold. And 4th key takeaway, and probably most important, make 2020 the year you leave your old self in the dust. Commit to making the leap from marketing expert to executive. Thank you again to the great folks at HRMI and HR.com, and a special thank you to all of you on this webcast. You've taken the first and most important step by being here today. And now, Rhonda, I think we'd like to open it up for any comments or questions that the audience may have.
Yes, absolutely. If everyone would like to take a moment while Angelina is with us here, the Q&A is opened, and Angelina, you can take a peek there and see if you have any questions coming into you. And
Sure.
yeah, just folks, you can still have a couple minutes to put them in there. And if Angelina can't get to your question today, hang tight and she'll follow up with you after the presentation.
Good. So we have one here. Okay, let me answer this one. How important is it to be able to read financial statements to move ahead in my career? Thank you. Good question. I use the example of reading financial statements as an example of building your financial acumen and learning the language of business. There are many other ways to build your finance skills, though, even if you hate numbers. If your company offers internal finance training, for example, take advantage of it. If it doesn't, you can always enroll in an online or community college class. And of course, there's lots of books and reference guides on this topic. I think just taking an interest in the balance sheet and then doing some due diligence to understand it, listen in on your company's quarterly earnings call. Another option is, to find a financial mentor, connect with a senior financial or operations manager in your company or your industry who can teach you and answer your questions one-on-one. But above all, don't be intimidated. Business math is relatively straightforward. It's basically addition and subtraction with some occasional multiplication and division. And with some focused attention, you can learn it quite easily. So thanks for the question. Okay, here's another one. Um, oh, I like this one. Hi, Angelina. Thanks for the session. I learned a lot. I love the two pizza rule. However, working with a small, scrappy startup, I often find myself wishing for more brains on deck to work on cool projects and to build more features and talk with customers. Isn't it just logical to believe that larger teams mean you'll get more awesome stuff done? It's a very valid point, and you're right. More hands on deck mean getting more work done, no doubt about it. And that's why large companies at scale, have large impact, on society and on customers. But you have to make sure they're the right hands on deck. Just throwing more people at a problem is one of the most common productivity traps I think companies can fall into it. In fact, the conventional wisdom that two heads are better than one, or that more brains that you have on a problem, the better, I don't think is true. People in smaller teams, I think, are far more personally productive. And as group size rises, all sorts of issues spring up. So individual performance levels diminish, people start to grow less engaged. So while larger teams may be getting more things done altogether, it's happening at a rate lower than the sum of individual efforts. I read some research that said the magic number for the most effective team varies. It falls anywhere between 4 to 9 and most effective 6 or 7. So what's clear is that if you want to get more stuff done, avoid having your team members hit the double digits, basically. And that works for um, committees as well. The smaller, the nimbler they can be. So good question. No, thank you for raising that. I don't see any more questions, Rhonda. Perhaps we should, I know I want to encourage everyone to take the exit poll, though, that you have. Maybe you can tell the audience more about it.
Absolutely. So as we end the meeting today, a new tab will open up in a browser, and there'll be a few questions that you can just quickly answer, and those will help us to deliver relevant content as we prepare for future webcasts. So we definitely encourage you folks to do that. And I don't see any more questions, but I see some great comments coming in for you, Angelina. So
Oh,
um,
good.
yeah, so I would like to take this time to thank you, and HRMI would like to thank you as well. What an excellent, very valuable webcast. So thank you so much for doing this for us today. And for all of you for joining us, thank you very much. And if you would like to view the webcast again, it will be archived on hr.com, and you will have up to 7 days to watch this again. So please take advantage of that. And then again, your feedback is important to us. So once again, just please a friendly reminder to respond to the exit survey. So I'm going to toss it back to you, Angelina, for closing comments. And again, thank you so much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. You've been a great crowd. Keep the faith. I know you're an experienced audience. Making the leap from expert to executive, if that's what you want to do, again, is based on readiness more than it is on merit. And hopefully some of these tips and strategies that I presented will help you make that switch or make that leap more easily and more quickly. So best of luck to all of you on your careers. And I'm always available for any follow-on conversation you might want to have. Thank you so much.
That's great. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.